Hi friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda and I'm a homesteader here in Cincinnati, Ohio, Zone 6. Today is, it's late March. It is a beautiful day. It is very windy, so I may end up having some voiceover on this video just because it might get a little too loud. But today I am going to plant out my brassicas, some onions, and some snapdragons. I've got two beautiful trays right below me. I'm going to show you guys. We've got some brassicas and onions in this tray. And then in this tray, we have onions as well as our snapdragons and some pretty pitiful looking celery. I have really tried to up my game on celery, and every year it just does not go quite as planned. We got a ton of rain the last 2 days, and so these guys have been seeing all of the rain. We also have some pansies in here as well. These are I think the Got the Blues. These are a purpley lavender blue pansy. In my garden right now, I think I have some Johnny Jump Ups. They're like a yellowy purpley white one, and then some black pansies as well. At least in my zone, pansies will go ahead and overwinter. They'll reseed and they will spread like wildfire. I have them all over my garden. They are cold tolerant, so that's why these guys are in the tray along with those snapdragons. So, going to try my best to get those guys planted in the garden. The thing is, I do not have a plan. I have no idea where I'm going to put these guys. About a week or two ago, we planted out some lettuces, some carrots in the back wooden bed I have over here. And then just yesterday, there comes the wind. Just yesterday, I did something that I said I wasn't going to be doing, which was adding more gardening space to my backyard. I did it. So if we come down here, we have a new bed. So here we have a new bed. This bed is 8 feet long by 2.5 feet wide. The camera can be kind of deceptive on how big a space is. I personally feel like my gardening space isn't very large, but it's actually a really decent size for what I have. So obviously I can't plant in this just yet. It doesn't have any soil in it. I did put in a order for some compost for my area, or at least from my local place in my area to do delivery, because I own a sedan and I don't really have easy access to a truck. My dog is stuck. I'm gonna help him real fast. Are you stuck? What are you doing? So as I was saying, I don't really have access to a truck readily. So I think that having it delivered is going to be the best option for me. It does cost a little bit more, which is fine. So I'm getting, I think, 2 yards of a mushroom compost, which they source from a Pennsylvania mushroom farm. I would love in the future, obviously I don't think this is going to happen at my current location, to kind of have more of a closed loop system where I'm creating the compost on my land, sourcing it from my land, and then just re-fertilizing my garden beds from soil from my land. That's not where I'm at right now. So I got 2 yards, hopefully coming next week. We'll see. They still have to contact me to kind of coordinate a delivery time, which I think I need to actually get a tarp to actually put the compost on so it doesn't just all wash away, because my back hill is a hill. So yeah, we got a new garden bed built using the pallets that we went ahead and took apart together. So that part was free. Obviously the soil is not going to be free, the soil, until it's a closed loop system. I mean, even with a closed loop system, it's not necessarily free, because I mean, the dream is to have cows, chickens. I am going to be feeding those, which in then turn I guess is costing towards the compost. But anyway, I did purchase 2 8-foot long I think they're pressure treated boards from Home Depot. I think it was about $35 for the both of them. And then the cost of compost, which I needed to compost anyway because I need to updress or dress all of my beds with some fresh compost just to give it a little bit more oomph. So that space is not ready to be planted in today, but in the future, I think this is going to be the new designated pepper bed with some pretty herbs and flowers to kind of just add in. So I'm just super excited about it. Today, the onions, the snapdragons, pansies, and brassicas. I think the onions I'm going to be planting kind of sporadically. I think I'm going to plant in a couple of different locations and see how those do. I may end up planting my onions in the top bed right there, that concrete bed, because it gets a good amount of sunlight and I would love to have a good harvest of onions. So let's go ahead and plant some onions. We've got a flock of cardinals flittering about. So this is the bed that we're gonna put the garlic, or not the garlic, but there is garlic, the onions in. Currently, it looks like we've got some brassicas or kales from the fall planting that overwintered. And they actually look pretty good. So we can go ahead and get a harvest off of these guys, which would be nice. Here's some of my pansies. So I did plant some lettuces here, which looks like they're starting to pop up just a little bit right here. So I think what I'll do is go ahead and clean up this section just a little bit and plant my onions in here, and then along where my garlic is, and then probably along this bottom portion here too. We'll try to get as many as we can in here. I do not think they'll all fit because we have quite a lot of onions started. Those are a little smaller. I did start those 2-ish weeks after these ones. And these ones I started directly in these pots, while those ones I went ahead and started in the soil blocks, and because it rained a bunch, they've kind of gotten washed out. look at that big boy. It says, put me back in the soil, please. All right, so we are going to start with two types of onions. We've got the Southport white globe onion. This is a larger bulbing onion. And then our Utah yellow sweet Spanish. It says plant out April 10th. We're gonna plant them out today. It is not April 10th, that is okay. So onions, let me get you guys. So onions have really resilient roots. So even if you jam-packed your onions into your seed starting trays or cells, you can easily take them apart without having to worry about them like having transplant shock. These guys have been hardening off outside for probably a week and a half, almost 2 weeks. So they're definitely ready. I think I'm gonna start with the Southport white globe onion. I started mine on February 8th. I've seen people start them as early as January, especially for my area, depending on how many growing days you have in your season. It's gonna depend on when you're gonna wanna get your onions started. Get a few more of these weeds out of here. So I'm gonna be planting these about 4 inches apart or so, and just seeing how that works. Last year I had a pretty good success with harvesting onions, and I planted them actually in this bed up here, and I think the first half of that bed. This year I'm gonna try a little different, see which area of my garden works the best. That was a raised bed, this is an in-ground bed, so it might be a little bit different. But what I was saying was, got hair in my mouth. Depending on where you live, is really going to play a part in when you should be planting different items in your garden. So depending on how long your growing season is, can really play a big part into that, how hot your weather is. So there are different varieties or types of onions. There are long day, there are short day, and there are intermediate day. You can easily find basically the geographical map, or at least for the United States. It might be a little different depending on where you are in the world. For me personally, here in Cincinnati, Ohio, I can plant intermediate and long day onions and have good success. My dog is stuck again. Hang on 1 second, I'm sorry. So for me personally, it's intermediate and long day onions that work the best for my area. I'm gonna stop yapping. It's getting really windy. I'm gonna go ahead and get these guys in the soil. When planting onions, you do not want to plant them too deep. You really just want to get their roots in the soil, and leave the bulbing part kind of at the top of the soil or at the surface of the soil. And that is what I'm gonna do. These guys have good root systems that don't mind being teased apart. So I'm basically just gonna, it might be a little harder just because the soil's so wet. You can see all of those beautiful white roots. Those guys were definitely ready to be planted. So I'm just going to gently work apart these onions, trying not to like completely disturb all of their root systems. But again, their roots are kind of wiry, not necessarily that strong, but like they got good strong roots. So we got 2 onions here. Got a couple onions, not more than 2 on this guy. I'm just gonna pop them back in the cup so I don't lose them. And we're gonna get to planting some onions for 2025. I'm so excited for this year's gardening season, guys. Putting that new bed in just, it made me realize how big my backyard is. So let's plant. All right, so we are gonna do, it says 4 to 6 inches apart for spacing. So that's, I'm gonna try to teach you that. So basically I'm gonna create a pretty good size hole, kind of put the roots in and just lightly cover it. And I'm just gonna follow that throughout. So I got one there. Really just want the roots in the soil, and then you can kind of tug it up so that the plant is kind of spaced there. I'm gonna do offset planting, so I feel like you can just get more in a space that way. This isn't gonna be exact because I'm not measuring, I'm just eyeballing it, and it should be good enough. And they are going to be kind of laying on their sides for the first couple days, maybe a week or so. And they'll start standing up once they start really taking root. Here from last year. Just so I can go ahead and keep all of my onions together. One here, one there. All right, and there we've got a good block of our Southport onions. Going to about right there. these guys separated. We'll go ahead and plant the Utah Spanish right next to them. All right, while the wind is kind of settled, I am going to go ahead and finish planting all of my onions off camera just because it is so windy outside. We went ahead and we got, so far, our Utah Yellow Spanish and the Southern Port White Globe planted in my in-ground bed with the garlic. I gave them a lot more spacing than I have in previous years, so we'll see how well they do this season. I'm gonna go ahead and plant my red onions as well as my Pompeii, I can't remember the rest of its name. The Pompeii onions. The Pompeii onions I think only get like less than golf ball sized is like their mature size. So I might give them a little less space than the ones that we just planted together. The red onions, I'm going to give them adequate spacing. And then I have some shallots and some bunching onions. The bunching onions and the shallots need less space than, again, the ones that we just planted. But I'm excited. We are getting in the throes of planting, at least outside. And it's spring. Tomato and pepper season is approaching. It's not quite yet. We're still getting quite chilly outside. I mean, chilly enough that I'm wearing a light jacket, but we're getting close to the most beautiful time of the season, our chaotic summer gardens. I obviously still have a ton of work to be done in my garden. I have dead things everywhere, but I am letting those things stay in the garden for as long as I can, just so that the pollinators and all the bugs and birds and everything else can just get their fill of whatever there is of the dead garden. So if you guys enjoy this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It really does help my channel grow. This season I really am hoping to monetize this channel and give it all of the love and attention that I can possibly give it, if it does get monetized. But if you guys want to enjoy any of my other content, until my next upload, I will go ahead and pop a video up here for you guys to enjoy until then. But I will see you guys in the next one, and happy gardening.